Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. It's Monday, and I'm here for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today, we're going to be doing a Q&A, but this Q&A is specifically designed for freight broker sales and questions around how do I get shippers as a freight broker or freight agent. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I do these lives pretty much every Monday at noon Eastern, so mark that down in your calendar. Listen, here's how it's going to work today. As people join the stream, do me a huge favor. Hit me up in the comments with your name and the city and state. I'll do a quick shout out. And then we're going to jump into Q&A. I'm going to try to limit this as normal to around 30 minutes of Q&A. So have your questions ready, but don't type them in the chat box yet because we're not ready to go. Okay. And it'll get lost in the feed. So today is all about freight broker sales and how to get shippers. I also have a big announcement to let everybody know. Some of you, I'm trying to wink here, some of you probably already have gotten wind of it, of what's going to happen. So I'll be giving that announcement here in just a few minutes. But again, thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it. Let me make sure I didn't double check something. I think there might be, hold on. Oh, wrong mic. I had to fix the mic. That probably sounds better now. Sorry about that. So here we go. Okay, let's put my handy dandy reading glasses on here. Shaka Robinson from Hope Mills, North Carolina. Welcome. Will from Atlanta. Jacob from Sarasota, Florida. Thank you. Hammer down, DB. All right, awesome. JM from USF Logistics in Richmond. Amazing. Lewis from Orlando and Puerto Rico. Cool. So we got people from all over the place joining. I'm not surprised. We usually do. We get people from Texas. We get people from New York. We get people from California, and we get people from Canada and all over the globe. Believe it or not, I started a program. For those of you that know me, already know this. If you don't, I own my own brokerage. I started that in 2003, did over $200 million a year or $200 million in sales as a freight broker. But in 2009, I launched my Freight Broker Bootcamp startup program. That was an online self-paced training program that taught people how to become freight brokers and freight agents. Okay. Since then, we've trained over 10,000 students. But the cool part is we've trained students in over 16 different countries, which is pretty wild, right? Because you think about freight brokering. I think about freight brokering. I think about the US and Canada. I don't really think about the rest of the world. And maybe that's just my self-centered whatever. But ultimately, we had students from over 16 different countries. Again, we've had over 10,000 students go through that. So if you guys are just joining and you're curious about becoming a freight broker or you're looking for some more information, there's tons of free information online, but the problem is it's hard to put it all together and you have to always factor in what's the source of the information, right? So we have an online program. It's the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program for beginners. You can go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So yeah, you can go there and do that. So with more shout outs here, what do we got? We got Eclectic Rose from Colorado. We got Viscount from Ghana. Wow, awesome. Joseph, thank you. Joe. Corey Buchan from Billings, Montana. Awesome. So we got a lot of regulars in here. We probably have some newbies, which is awesome. I love when new people come into the stream. Again, we're going to be doing live Q&A today. Hold your questions for 1 minute. I'm going to do a quick announcement, and then we're going to get this show on the road, okay? So let's get a few more people live. Do a few more shout-outs. Damar from Damar Logistics, Reno. Howdy, Damar Logistics, Reno. Okay, cool. Paris from California. Or Paris, California. Jim Davis from Frankfort, Illinois. If you include your name and the city and state, it makes it easier because sometimes your usernames are random at best. Sometimes they're even inappropriate, which is okay. I can get a hold of that, but sometimes it's not really perfect for this format. So again, hit me up with your name and the city and state you're logging in from. I'll try to do some quick shout outs before we start. And I do have a big announcement. And we will go from there. Okay. So here we go. Big announcement. I wish I had a drum roll. Drum roll, please. All right. It's been months that I've been telling you that I'm going to be opening up spots and enrollment for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Coaching and Mentoring Program. And the good news is it's opening tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. That's Eastern time. So what would happen is if you are on the wait list, okay, I'm going to give you the link. If you're on the wait list, you will get a text and an email that will give you all the information. It'll give you a link with all the details about the program. You got to be on the wait list. It'll give you a link and details about all about the program. And if you are interested, you will be able to schedule a call with me. Now, this is only for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Coaching Program. So if you are specifically looking for coaching and mentoring around sales, you're already a broker, you're already an agent, you're in that early stage. Maybe you're just going to launch your brokerage or agents. You're getting your authority and you're getting set up, and you're really concerned about how to get shippers and sales. Get on the wait list. If you're looking for Freight Broker startup help, if you're just looking to get started, don't sign up for the Sales Accelerator wait list. Don't schedule a call. I'm just being honest with you, okay? If you're looking for that, you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That is my startup program. That's why I've had over 10,000 students go through that program. And it is the system that you need to start with, okay? But that's going to be opening up tomorrow. You will get notified of all the details tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. March 31st, 2026, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You're going to get a text or an email. You'll get all the details. You'll be able to schedule a call. We'll have a quick interview. We'll have a quick call. And at that point, I'll determine whether you're a good fit for the program. If you are, I'll give you an invitation. You can be a part of the program. Again, the spots are very, very limited, okay? I don't put hundreds of people into this program at a time. Typically, I limit it to under 20, okay? Just because I really want to be able to spend a lot of time with them, all right? So without further ado, that is the announcement. I don't know how many of you have been harassing me in the comments over the past several months about when's it going to open, when's it going to open, when's it going to open. Some of you are probably on this call. If some of you have any of you already taken the Sales Accelerator, and or how many of you are already on the wait list? Hit me up in the comments and let me know if you've already taken the Sales Accelerator or if you're on the wait list. Let me know. I'd like to hear from the people in the group. And again, we're going to get, we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes here. And that's the reason why the theme today is sales and how to get shippers. That's what we're going to try to focus in on today in this live Q&A is sales, because it's the theme. Tomorrow, we're going to be launching the Sales Accelerator. Again, the Sales Accelerator is an 8-week live coaching and mentoring program where I work with you directly to teach you my best sales strategies, tactics, tools, but overall system that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker. And again, that we put over 1,000 students through the Sales Accelerator. And that program, after the people have completed that program, they do an exit survey. And 1 out of 10, the average rating is a 9.2 out of 10. Okay. I shouldn't have to defend it anything more than that. Okay. It's not free. It's not cheap. You'll get all the details tomorrow on exactly what it costs and what all the details are. But yes, we got, let's see. So Freight Hustler is on wait list. Shaka Robinson's already taken it. Okay, so Will Brooks is taking the self-paced version. You were probably you're a member of boot camp and then you upgraded so you could get the self-paced version. Yep. Awesome. That's great. That's an amazing version. The difference between the self-paced and the sales of the live is the fact that I'm actually coaching you in the live, right? So you get all the same information, the same system, but I'm actually coaching you live. It's a lot more expensive, of course, but it goes without saying. Some people are looking for more hands-on coaching and mentoring, and that's what this is all about. Cool. All right, listen, let's rock and roll. Get on the wait list. That's all I can tell you. You guys have been harassing me. You guys have been busting my chops. I've been getting emails. I've been getting phone calls. I've been getting lots of social media messages about you. Dennis, you said a month ago or 2 months ago. I know. I apologize. It took so long. I'm sorry. But here we are. Launches tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Be there or be square. You guys will all get a text. You'll all get an email with the details on exactly what you have to do to get enrolled. All right. Awesome. So without further ado, let's jump into some Q&A. Who's got questions for me? I want to try to focus these questions around sales, how to get shippers in that genre. Okay. If there's time, I'll try to answer some other questions, but I would prefer to try to focus this in on sales and how to get shippers as much as possible. All right. So hit me up with any questions you guys might have. We'll get the boat rolling. We'll get this thing rolling here. And then we'll get out of here. Right. I know you guys are busy. I know you got a lot going on. We'll try to limit this to under 30 minutes. Obviously, we're going to have less questions, but maybe we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive and peel the onion back a little bit more on these topics if possible. Tim, no. Put it off another month. I know. Listen, I have a legitimate excuse. I've been working on some other kind of secret projects behind the scenes, and it has been very time consuming. But I'm excited because they're going to launch probably that will realistically launch in the next month. So you guys will all become aware of that. All right. Question. Do you teach how to get shippers in the fuel industry? Okay. So you're talking about moving fuel, right? You're talking about tankers moving fuel. We do not teach specifically how to broker loads or how to do sales in the fuel industry. I don't think anybody does. What we teach is how to get shippers as a whole, right? Whether they're in the steel industry or the produce industry or the bottled beverage industry or the fuel industry. The process is the same. The target, the niche is slightly different, but the process is the same, right? You still have to get their attention. You still got to build rapport. You still got to qualify. You still got to ask good questions. You still have to overcome objections. Before all that starts, you got to have the proper mindset. You got to leverage technology. Those are just some of the basic fundamentals of the sales process, right? So we don't teach specifically about the fuel industry, but we teach how to get a prospect's attention in any industry, right? How to overcome the common objections in logistics and transportation and trucking as a whole. And then we teach that entire process from A to Z. And as a part of the Sales Accelerator, obviously, I'm coaching and mentoring through that entire process. So hope that helps. If you got a follow-up, let me know. Why do most freight brokers seem to be focused on truckloads and not so much on LTL sales? Great question. So the answer to that question is this, and this is my personal opinion. Truckload is easier than LTL to understand. You can do an all-in, one pick, one drop load from Buffalo to Atlanta on a van. You're going to charge the customer $2,000. You're going to pay the carrier $1,800, and there's a $200 margin. Pretty simple. Full truckload, exclusive use. Up to 40 some thousand pounds, depending upon the van and the truck. So it's pretty easy to understand. LTL, on the other hand, is much more complex because true LTL, right, runs based upon freight class. So it's density, right? A pound of gold versus a pound of feathers. A pound of feathers takes up a lot more space in the truck than a pound of gold that takes up very small. So you are running under a class, and that class has different rates. It has different insured values. There's a lot of complexity to LTL pricing and understanding LTL in general. So a lot of people shy away from it, right? So the complexity in pricing is something that people shy away from because truckload's a lot easier to understand. I'd say that's probably number one. Number two, an LTL shipment, can take the same amount of time in many cases to try to go through the whole process, unless you have a fully automated LTL online self-tender system, right? But if you're doing it manually, it could take just as long. And, you might only make $50 on an LTL where you might make $300 on a truckload. So the same amount of work, but you get a lot bigger margin. Right? So that's probably another reason. Those are probably the two most common. So it's the lack of understanding of pricing. Now, if you come from the LTL world and you sold for an LTL carrier, or you work for a logistics company that specialized in LTL or had really good LTL systems or rates, then at that point, it's a no-brainer for you to specialize in LTL. But the hard part about LTL is you got to have a system that allows shippers to self-rate, meaning they can go in and put a zip class and get a rate for multiple different carriers that you've established rates with, and then pick the carrier and then self-tender to load, and then that automatically gets tendered to the carrier. If you can get a system like that, like a Global Trans or an Echo Global or Priority, a lot of other brokerages have that. If you have that type of system, then LTL can be highly profitable if you have good rates, right? And LTL is even more sensitive to rates, right? Because there's more transparency because of the class system, the way things are classed out, and the way the systems are online to understand what LTL costs. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a brain dump, but I think those are the biggest issues why most brokers and agents focus on truckload versus LTL. If you got a follow-up, let me know. How do I find new companies to call and possibly start moving shipments with them? I know how to cold call, but actually finding businesses to contact to introduce yourself. Okay, well, you're in luck. Okay, I got good news for you. I'm going to give you a link where you can go get thousands of leads for free. Let me find it. Here it is. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads. Okay, that is a link to a site called Apollo. Now, Apollo, if you use this link, because you're coming from my community, you can sign up for free with no credit card. Literally, you don't have to put a credit card in. You don't have to do a trial. You don't have to do any of that. You can sign up for free through that link to Apollo. They specialize in business data. So they have a database of millions and millions of companies around the world. I don't even know how much they have. Probably tens of millions of businesses around the world. And you can go in there and you can compile a list of people that you want to call, and you can do a very specific search. So for example, let me give you an example. Say you're looking for bottled beverage companies in New York, and you want the name of the shipping manager or logistics manager, and you do that search, and it's going to give you a list of bottled beverage companies in New York, right? So you could create a list of 10 or 20 or 50 or whatever there are in New York. Now, let's say, for example, you want to focus in on companies that have over 50 employees and are in the steel industry and are in the Midwest. So you can identify the different states. You can easily put that list together. It's 100% free, okay, to do that. Now, you can go in, you can get the company phone number, you can get the company address, you can find out who the logistics manager is, their name. You can even link through to their LinkedIn account a lot of times through there. So you get all that data for free. Now, if you want to upgrade the data and buy additional data, like you want to get their specific email, or you might want to get their cell phone, their mobile number, then that data is a paid service. They also have other services that you can purchase. So this is what you call a freemium model, right? They give a lot of this for free to attract you. And then what they're hoping is that they can sell you other services later. But like I said, you can sign up for free. You do not have to give a credit card, and you can compile a list of your specific niche in less than 5 minutes. Okay, it's super easy to use, super user-friendly. It's my favorite place to go if you're really looking to compile a list and you have a niche that you want to target in on, right? So I hope that helps. Again, that link is free for now, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads, no credit card required. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of students use this, and I've never had bad feedback from it. So it's always been very good feedback. So hope that helps. Okay. Lewis says, how essential is it to count on a TMS as a freight broker? Well, as a freight broker startup, you don't necessarily need a TMS day one, right? Because you're not moving any loads. And then you're moving one load a week, right? It's pretty easy to manage those very small startup numbers. But what you're going to find is if you're going to do any sort of volume as a broker, you're going to start moving loads daily, you're going to want to have a TMS, right? You're going to want to have a system, because the TMS is short for Transportation Management Software, Transportation Management System. And what it does is it's like a repository and a workflow for your customer loads. So you keep all your customer data in there, you keep all your load data in there, you keep all your rate data in there. A lot of them do invoicing, right? So it's a repository for all of that, and it's all in one place, right? It's easy to access. You can archive it. You can go back to loads and carriers and transactions from days, months, years ago, and you can use that. A lot of them have really good reporting in there, right, for sourcing carriers and rating data. So yeah, TMS is very important if you're really serious about growing the business. But day one, you really don't need it. So if you guys are looking for a TMS, I have one that I recommend. I've known the owner for many years. He's a top-notch guy. They do a great job. His name's Tim Hyam. He's the CEO of Ascend TMS. If you guys want to sign up for that, again, you can sign up for free to that link with no credit card. You just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. So you get a free trial, no credit card. But when you sign up, you have to put in the coupon code FBBC. If you don't do that, then you won't get, you're not going to get the special offers, right? Plus they offer like a shipper database that they'll do and stuff like that because you're a part of my community. So if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS, you can sign up for a free trial. And again, it costs you nothing. Now, if you want to upgrade to a full paid member, then you can do that, but you don't have to. It's usable as a free trial. But then again, this is a freemium model where they've got additional benefits to upgrading. But I think the entire program, even if you upgrade to their top program, and I think it's only $99 a month. So it's not super expensive. It's pretty cheap, right? In the big scheme of things. And you're talking to a guy who built his own TMS. I'm not a programmer, but for my brokerage, I invested over $1 million, okay, of hard-earned money into our TMS. Okay. So for you to be able to have a top-notch TMS for $99 a month is kind of a joke, right? But you could start out for free if you go just sign up for the free trial. But you got to put in the coupon code FBBC. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Question, do you recommend to get auto liability besides CCI? Would that make it better to get clients? I don't recommend that you get contingent cargo or auto liability when you first start out. I recommend you don't get either. Why? Because you don't need to. There are more shippers that don't require contingent cargo than there are that require contingent cargo. Fact. Hands down, I'll debate it with anybody. Most shippers do not require contingent cargo. They definitely don't require auto liability insurance. Okay. I never had auto liability insurance. Okay. And I didn't have contingent cargo when I first started. We went and got some shippers that didn't require it, got some cash flow going. And then once we found some shippers we really wanted to do business with that did require it, well, then we brought them on board and we helped them we helped their revenue and profit to finance it. So as a startup, I don't recommend it. Now, if you're already an established broker and you're running into a situation where you want to go upstream to larger companies, I tell brokers to focus on small to medium-sized companies. And a lot of those don't require contingent cargo. But if you go up to Fortune 1000 brands, you go up to big enterprise clients, they're all going to require contingent cargo. Okay. So at that point, if you want to swim in that pool, you're going to have to upgrade to contingent cargo. But that's not your best market as a new broker. Your best market is small companies, less competition, less rating pressure, easier sales cycle, less bureaucracy. Everything is easier when you're working with small clients. Okay. Hope that helps. Got a follow up? Let me know. Timmy Lower asks, what qualifications do shippers look for? What do they want to hear from us inexperienced freight brokers? Well, here's what they want to hear. They want to hear that you are accountable. That's the number one thing they want to hear. The second thing they want to hear is they want to make sure, they want to trust that you will do what you say you're going to do. You don't have to be an expert in all things logistics. What you have to do is you have to speak their language. And the reason why I teach niching down as a new broker, a new agent, right, where you're niching down like I did. We did Northeast outbound van freight. So if it picked up in New York or PA or New Jersey up through New England, and it was going on a van, right, a full truckload van, and it was going west or south, that was our niche. So by focusing in on that, we were able to understand patterns that were going on from a capacity perspective, from a rating perspective. We understood the language of that industry, of the different types of products that moved on vans out of the Northeast. So we became specialized. So very quickly, we became an expert. We knew more than 98% of the world about that niche. It didn't take very long, right? You do a couple hundred calls and you have these types of conversations, and you can accelerate your learning curve very, very quickly. So they want to know that you understand their niche, that you understand their challenges, that you're accountable, right? And those are some of the biggest things they're looking for, just the reality. I think that I do have a YouTube video. Hold on, let me see something. I think I have a YouTube video that's what shippers want. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Look at that. I found it. What shippers really want. Let me see if I can get it in here. All right, I'm going to put it in the link. Okay, what shippers really want. Right? That's what shippers really want from brokers. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay, so that's a link that can give you a little bit more of an extended version of what I just shared with you. So I hope that helps. Okay. How often are insurance matters handled by brokers, like rejected load, damaged loads, or even total loss? Okay, so as a broker, you are not liable for cargo claims unless you are negligent and you caused it. 99 out of 100 claims, you're not going to have you shouldn't have a problem with that, especially in full truckload. So what your job is your job is to help facilitate that claim between the shipper and the carrier. They don't file a claim with you. They file a claim with the carrier. So you're trying to put those two parties together so that that claim can get filed and get paid, hopefully based on its merits, right? Not all claims get paid because sometimes it's the shipper's fault. Sometimes it's an exclusion from the policy. But ultimately, that's your job. So you're not doing a full-blown claim, right? Your job is to put those two together and to make sure that that claim gets facilitated, because they are your customers. So you want to make sure that if it's a legitimate claim, they get paid back, right? So yeah, that's how that would work. They're not going to file a claim with you unless you agree, which I wouldn't agree to subrogate the claim, which means, they're going to file a claim with you, and then you're going to pay them, and then you're going to have to try to collect the money from the trucking company. I definitely don't suggest that. Okay. So I hope that helps. Okay. Lewis says, do you recommend using tools such as Canva to create marketing campaigns to reach new customers? I've tried, but the emails seem to go to the customer's scam box. Okay. Spam box. Let's hope it's not a scam box, but spam box. Yeah. So yeah, I think you should be using tools. I think you should be using things like social media, in particular, LinkedIn, to create content that can then position you as an expert and a resource in your niche and generate inbound leads, right? And to build engagement and to generate inbound leads. It's a great way to do that. I'm not a big fan of cold email, especially sending out images in a cold email. If you're going to be doing cold email, it should be text and it should be short. I mean, it should be 2 or 3 lines, very compelling text, no images, right? Not in email. Because number one, it's hard enough to get through the spam filters of corporations when you don't have an image. When you do have an image, it's almost guaranteed it's going to go to their spam folder and get filtered out. So if you're doing email, I would suggest text only and keep it very short, right? And don't make it salesy. I teach and talk a lot about that in my Sales Accelerator. So as far as images go, you can use Canva for creating images, or you could use different AI for creating images. And Canva has a lot of AI built into it now. You can use that as a way to create images that you can use on social media, particularly on LinkedIn, right? My favorite place to find, connect, and engage with shippers as a broker or an agent is LinkedIn. It's a very target-rich environment. You can build a network of connections there. You can post content, and those people, that's what's going to help position you as an expert, right? There's touch points. They see your content week after week after week after week, and then they become familiar with you. It builds a level of trust, right? And then they reach out and they send you a message, or they comment and they say, hey, listen, can you help me with this flatbed load? Or, hey, can you give me a rate on this, right? So yeah, I'm a big fan of using LinkedIn and social media that way, and even images that way, but I'm not a big fan of using images in email. Hope that helps. Okay, what's the best way to land that first freight broker agent job after finishing boot camp? What's the best way? Well, I have an entire training on it, right? Hold on, I'll give you the link. Give me a second. Here it is. Boom, boom. Okay. I'm going to put it in the chat box here. Hold on a minute. Get hired as a freight agent. No experience. Boom. There's the link. Okay. That's a full-blown training. It's on my blog. It also includes a video, but it's step by step by step. You can also download a cheat sheet off that page where you can just get the cheat sheet and you can run through that way, the short version of it. But yeah, if you go to that link, that's where you can get access to that. I'm scrolling. Give me a second here. Okay. Hello, Dennis. I'm not able to find flatbed carriers in North Central. North Central what? Part. How can I fix it? Okay, well, here's the thing. If you're using load boards, okay, and those load boards have no trucks in that market, if you're posting a load and you're searching for trucks and there's no trucks in that market, then there's no way you can magically make them appear. It means that there's way more loads than there are trucks, to the point where people aren't posting their trucks. So, the only thing you can do is try to look in the load boards for what's called a lane history, depending upon the load board you're using, whether it's Truckstop or the DAT or whatever. Lane history is where you can search a specific lane, like Buffalo to Atlanta flatbeds, and it'll tell me in the last 30, 60, 90 days what carriers have posted their trucks in those lanes, how many times they've posted their trucks in those lanes. If you've got a carrier that comes up in the lane history that over the last 30 days, they've posted their truck 30 times, that's a good signal that they're in Buffalo regularly, looking to go to Atlanta, right? So, and same thing goes if somebody only posted the truck once in the last 30 days, then they're probably not there very often. So it probably doesn't make sense to call them, but then you would call those carriers as potential leads. So that's a little bit of a tip that I think might help. What kind of shippers do you recommend? Small ones or big ones? For startup, for small ones, okay? And in most cases, I'm going to tell you that small to medium shippers are the best shippers. I've already explained to you why. Number one, there's less pricing pressure. Number two, they're way easier to get on the phone. Number three, the onboarding process is way less bureaucratic and way less difficult. Okay, so those are some of the key reasons. Everybody wants to go to volume. They want to move. They want to go to Nestle water before they've ever started moving, some basic loads, right? Let me tell you something. Nestle water is not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, most brokers on that stuff, when they move it, they're a high volume water company, right? They do bottled water, which is heavy van loads. Most of the brokers on that crap are making 25 or 50 bucks a load, right? And it's a pain in the ass, right? And you could spend that same amount of time making $200 or $300, which is the equivalent of 4 or 5 of those loads, and do it in a fraction of the time. So, high volume shippers may sound great, but they're not nearly as, once you pull the wrapping off, they're honestly a bigger pain in the ass than they're worth in a lot of cases, right? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever do business with them, but doing these big RFPs, these big RFQs for pricing where you got to do 100 lanes and you're hoping to win one that you might make 50 or 100 bucks a load on, and you're counting on volume, to grow your business, you're much better off working with a handful of smaller shippers where you don't have that same sort of complexity to get onboarded. You don't have that same sort of pricing pressure. You've got more direct access. So I'm a big fan in working with smaller shippers. Plus, there's less competition with smaller shippers. Everybody goes after the big shippers, right? Everybody wants to go after all the big shippers. So hope that helps. How much time were we at? Okay, we got a couple more minutes. Okay, do you recommend a carrier screening portal like FreightGuard, Highway, Fender, or My Carrier Portal? I don't recommend specifically any of them, but I do recommend that you have tools that will allow you to properly vet carriers. So, there's like a level 1 vetting that you can do for free just using the FMCSA. And then there's kind of a higher level vetting where you can get better data, right? And you can get a easier access to better data to help you make those decisions with tools like Carrier 411, Carrier OK, Carrier Assure, some of the ones you mentioned, Highway, My Carrier Portal. Those are other tools that you can use for a more strict vetting process. Some of these are very expensive tools, so you may not be able to get them out of the gate. Some of them are way less expensive. I think there's one called Carrier OK. I know those guys. I met those guys. It's a good tool. And I think last I heard, Carrier OK was only like 50 or 100 bucks a month compared to something like Highway, which the last time I heard that was 1,500 a month. Okay. So prices vary, mileage varies, do your research. But yes, I do recommend. The key part of vetting carriers is you have to slow down. The biggest mistakes happen when people try to rush through the vetting process. I know lots of brokers that don't use those tools and they don't get brokered loads, or they don't get double brokered loads, and their loads aren't stolen because they're methodical and they've got a defined process. I know other brokers who have used those tools and still had double brokered loads. So you got to slow the process down. When the I's don't dot and the T's don't cross perfectly, that doesn't mean that the carrier's bad. It just means you need to slow down, double check, verify. Okay? And these tools can help you do that. Okay. How do you recommend to quote a shipper? Really simple. Okay. It's very, very simple. If I got a load from Buffalo to Atlanta flatbed, and I don't know the rates and I don't know the carriers, the first time I've ever heard this lane. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the load board and I'm going to search the trucks that are in that lane. I'm going to see how many trucks are available within 100 miles of Buffalo to 100 miles of Atlanta. If there's no trucks posted in that lane, I know that the price is going to be pretty high, because the more capacity you have, right, the lower the rates. The less capacity you have, the higher the rates. Okay. So when there's less trucks, higher rates, more trucks, lower rates. Okay. Just basic economics, right? Supply and demand. So then I would use the rating tools on that load board to get a basic idea of what the rates are. Let's say that they said the rate was $2 a mile. I'm just using a hypothetical for easy math. Let's say they said the average truck was getting paid $2 a mile. I would then use lane history or use any of the trucks that are posted, and I would call some carriers. I'd probably call and get feedback from 3 or 4 or 5 carriers, and we would start out, and I would find out what the average rate is, right, that I'm going to have to pay a truck today based on spot market. And then once I ascertain that and I validate it with a few carriers, now I have an idea. Okay, it's going to cost me $2,000 or it's going to cost me $2,100. Then I would mark up. I would add my profit on top. So if I'm going to make $100 or $200 or $300, I would add it on top. I strongly suggest when you start out with a new client, keep your margins on the lower end. Don't try to get 20 or 30% on every load. When you start out, try to make, with a brand new client, if you're brand new to the industry, try to make $100 on the load, right? Try to make $100, $150 on the load. You can always try to increase the rates later, right? Or you can add other lanes later to make that customer more profitable. But the key is the hardest part of the whole deal with shippers is the first load, right? Breaking traction on that first load. Because if you do everything you say you're going to do and everything goes well through billing and through everything from cradle to grave, and you do what you say you're going to do, there's probably a 95% chance you're going to get another load. Okay. Now, if you screw it up, then there's probably a 5% chance you're going to get another load. So that's my 2 cents. I hope that helps. By the way, for those of you that weren't listening earlier, let me find this really quick. If you are struggling with freight broker sales and how to get shippers, and you're looking for a coach, looking for a mentor, looking for hands-on help and coaching, get on the wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Program. It's launching tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Okay, that's Eastern time, New York time. So to get on that wait list, you're going to get details about the Sales Accelerator. And if you think you're a good fit, you're going to schedule a call. We're going to get on a quick call. I'm going to determine whether I think you're a good fit for the program. And if you are, I'll give you an invitation and then you can join the program. I hand select every person that comes in the program and we keep the group very, very small. It'll be less than 20 people. Okay. So again, that is an 8-week live sales coaching and mentoring program. I put over 1,000 students through that program. Had a lot of great success stories, have had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of great feedback. Again, 9.2 out of 10 rating from people that have completed that program. So I'm excited that we're going to be launching. Again, if you're on the wait list, you'll get notified. If you're not, then you won't. You won't have an opportunity to get in, right? Costs you nothing to get on the wait list. The program is not free. It's not cheap, but the ROI is amazing if you listen and you let me help you implement it into your business. Okay. So I hope that helps. All right. I think we're going to wrap this up. What load board do you recommend? Quality, cost in mind. It depends, but as a general rule, let me see if I can find it. Hold on a minute. Okay. So let me put it in here really quick. I got a link for you. If you go to hold on a minute. Let me make sure that's correct. Hold on. Okay, there it is. It did work. Okay, good. Okay. So here's a link to TruckStop, right? If you're not familiar with TruckStop has been around since before I was in brokerage, over 20 years ago. I started in 2003, right? They are well known, and this is a promo link, a special promo link where you can get a discount right? You can get like, they have special discounts going on right now for a pro membership or different memberships, right? So if you go to that link, you can get Truck Stop. Truck Stop is probably the one I recommend overall. DAT is very good, but usually a little bit more expensive depending upon the tools that you're getting, because there's a whole suite of tools you can get. But I'm a big fan of Truck Stop. So that would be the link that I would go to, freightburgerbootcamp.com / let me see. Here you go. freightburgerbootcamp.com / load board. freightburgerbootcamp.com / load board. That's where you can go and get that special discounted offer, right? I'm a big fan of Truck Stop. I liked that too, but you asked, so there's my 2 cents. Okay, guys, listen, that's going to wrap it up for today. I think we did about 45 minutes. I really appreciate you guys being here. Listen, if you want that load board offer for Truck Stop, freightburgerbootcamp.com / load board. If you guys are looking for help with sales, how to get shippers, I'm going to say it the last time, get on the wait list. If you're not on the wait list, you won't get notified. You'll be getting a text and email tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., March 31st, 2026. You'll get an opportunity to enroll, and hopefully we get a chance to work together. I'm excited to talk to you guys. I'm excited to get this thing relaunched. The last time I launched it was like September or October. So it's been a long time since I've launched it. I normally don't go that long. I normally launch it 3 or 4 times a year. But this is going to be a really good one. I've done some changes. I've done some upgrades. I've changed the program a little bit based upon feedback from all the students. So I think you guys are going to be really excited. And I look forward to working with you guys. Okay. I really do. If you guys are on the wait list, if you're not ready for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is that sales coaching program, and you're just looking for startup help, okay, you're just looking for help with what a broker does and how to get started in the basic fundamental steps to become a broker or an agent, just go to freightburgerbootcamp.com. That program I've had since 2009, over 15 years now. We've put over 10,000 students through that program. We offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. I can't make it any easier than that. So that's my story. That's where I'm at. Tomorrow morning, the wait list will open up for the Sales Accelerator. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. If you guys learned anything from this, if you guys learned one nugget from this, if I answered one of your questions, if you heard anything you liked on this, if you think any of this made sense, hit the like button, no matter where you're at. If you're on LinkedIn or you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, no matter where you're at, hit the like button. That's the price of admission. It didn't cost you anything to get into this call. I didn't ask you for your credit card. I didn't ask you for any of that. This was a 100% free call, and I really appreciate you guys being here. So have an awesome day, have an awesome week, and I'll see you next week on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. You're welcome. Laura, you're welcome. Shaka Robinson, you're welcome. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day. We'll see you guys. We'll be talking to some of you guys this week. Look for that text tomorrow for the wait list, okay? Talk to you soon.